He is the CEO of Black Star Network, which is a platform, and they have an acronym OTT, which is over the top. Roland has written several books. He has published several books. And he has received journalistic awards from numerous organizations, including Ebony and Jet magazines, the NAACP Image Awards, the National Black Association of Black Journalists, and from other organizations. And Roland is a graduate. He's from Texas, from Houston, Texas. He's a graduate of Jack Lake Gates High School, and he went on to probably the best university in Texas, Texas A&M, and I know I'm going to offend some of the University of Texas grads.
That's high school.
But he received his BS in journalism from Texas A&M.
Whoop.
And he is married to Jacqueline Hood Martin. His wife is also a minister. I bring to you Roland Martin.
Appreciate it. All right, how we doing? That wasn't bad for a Kappa. Don't start. I got the microphone longer than you do. Remember, I get paid to talk for a living.
When our committee reached out to Roland to engage him, this brother is in journalism, but he submitted a 4-page bio.
Everybody ain't able. Somebody asked me, I spoke before and someone said, am I supposed to read all this? I said, well, you can do whatever you want to do because it's all true. So glad to be here. Glad to see all of you here. I think the last time I spoke to neighbor, were we in Baltimore? We're in Baltimore? Yes, we're in Baltimore. So certainly glad to see everyone here. Do me a favor. Y'all can turn the house lights up. I like to actually see people versus this one spotlight. So just turn all the lights up. I'm not scared of seeing folk. So again, it's good to be here. Some of y'all suited and booted. Ain't no way in hell I was coming to Tampa with a suit on. Ain't a jacket in my suitcase. I literally leave here at 4:10 to fly to Las Vegas. We have our National Association of Black Journalists Convention. Ain't no jacket being worn there at all. I will be, along our honorees, will be recognized in the class of 2021 for our NABJ Hall of Fame. Will not be wearing a suit. So it's nothing but linen in a suitcase. It is way too damn hot for these blue blazers. I mean, y'all got ties on. You brought dress shoes and socks. Linen. No, not gonna happen. But it's good to be here. There's a lot of folks I know in this room, folks I've met over the years. I walked in, folks I worked with Tom during the morning show. I see Jada Davis, and I'm like, I'm Jada Mama, girl, I know. She done text Jada. Jada done sent me the photo. I'm like, Jada, I know I'm here. My folk from Dallas, Friendship West Baptist Church, Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes, Alpha. My folks from the Church Without Walls in Houston, Brook Hollow Baptist Church, Reverend Ralph Douglas West, Alpha. So glad to see folks here. And so it is always good to be in the house. You started off mentioning Roland Martin Unfiltered. We launched the show 4 years ago when TV One canceled, News One now. And so many folks have been hugely supportive of the show. We've had nearly 1 billion views, more than 2 billion minutes viewed of the show a year ago, September 4th, 2021. We launched the Black Star Network. We now have 7 shows that are on our OTT platform. It is 100% black owned, and when you own it, you don't have to ask anybody's permission. So when I had asked one of my assistants, I said, hey, I need you to find out, are they live streaming the speech? And she said, I'm checking. Then I said, well, are y'all taping the speech? And I asked them, they said, well, we'll work it all out. I said, don't worry about it. I come prepared because I am probably the coolest tech geek you'll find. And so just so you understand, I don't play. We are live streaming the speech right here. Now I say that because y'all turn these front lights on, please, seriously. I say that because ownership matters. The nation's first black newspaper was Freedom's Journal. They were founded March 16, 1827, and in the 3rd paragraph, they wrote, "We wish to plead our own cause, too long have others spoken for us." And one of the fundamental problems that we are facing right now is we are literally asking somebody else to tell our story. We're begging other people to cover us. We're asking them, well, could we somehow get some airtime? And let's just be real honest. We're talking about real estate issues and housing issues. So you have to ask, how often is MSNBC and ABC and CBS calling NARAD? When you're watching these networks and you're seeing people talk about housing crisis, and when you're seeing them talking about what's going on. Just the other day, I saw a story where one of the credit agencies were erroneously provided data causing a significant number of people to pay higher interest rates for auto and homes, and most of those folks were black and brown. And so that's why when TV One ended the show, people came to me and they said, man, I wish you would get a show on MSNBC and CNN. I said, look, I spent 6 years at CNN. I said, but I need you to understand, they would own the show. I had to ask somebody, can I? And I said, I'm just not interested in asking anybody a damn thing, can I? So we have the opportunity to cover what we want to cover. We were in New York last week for the opening of the Jackie Robinson Museum. We live streamed that for 3 days. When the SWAC Media Day the previous week, we were there as well. We are covering and at places that a lot of other folks don't go to. And the reason that is important is because if we do not control the narrative, then we are literally allowing somebody else to control it and to say to us what's going on. But while we're doing that, we also have to use our organizational might and our organizational power to also demand full equity from the very people who also love to take from us. If you go back and read Dr. King's speech on April 3rd, 1968 at Mason Temple, he talked about collectively, he said, black people individually are poor, but collectively we are one of the wealthiest nations in the world. He said, but collectively, if we move collectively, we can actually maximize that. And so and it's always interesting to me, and I asked someone, I said, can you get me a list of your sponsors? And I'm appreciative of organizations and institutions that sponsor conventions and conferences, but I'm also always we have to ask them beyond you assisting us, are you assisting us? Okay, let me repeat that because I think somebody missed that. Right now there's a confused Omega going, I don't know what he really just said there. Y'all thought I wasn't going to do that? Some of y'all didn't think I could still step. Don't think 53 can't hop. Don't get it confused. What often happens is we want folk to assist us in terms of our organizations. We have to ask the broader question, are they assisting us as a people? We have to begin to ask a different question, and that is, are folks financially supporting our community? Is there a return on investment to our community? And I'll unpack that because I was sitting there and that's a Rocket Mortgage, that's a great commercial. which would also look great on the Black Star Network. Oh, and let me be real clear. Rocket Mortgage, Bank of America, National Association of Realtors, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo, y'all damn sure should be spending with Black Star Network. Airbnb, Better Homes and Garden, ERA, Hometown Lenders, Prosperity Mortgage, Realtor.com, Truist Financial, Charles Schwab. Oh, I ain't done. And I'm going to unpack this so folk can understand, because I know somebody like, oh, don't be talking about, no, you're going to understand. East West Bank, Equity Prime, Federal Home Loan, Bank of New York, FHL Bank San Francisco, First American, Loan Depot, MGIC, MBA, I ain't done, New American, Funding, PNC Bank. Y'all made a $1 billion commitment in the wake of George Floyd. What is the status of that $1 billion that was supposed to go to black people? Prime One, TD Bank, Vantage Score, Colibri Group, Home Partners, we can go Zillow, I get y'all emails, Clear Capital, Exit Realty, Fifth Third, Hancock Whitney, Home Snap. See, why am I doing the roll call? I'm doing the roll call because the reality is black folks spend in America. We watch more TV in America, and we are the financial backbone for many companies. But we have to begin to ask the question, what is the rate of return to black America with the money that we are spending? Now, do understand something, y'all. Look, God, look. If y'all wanted somebody to come here and make y'all feel good, make you feel great, pray with you, y'all should have booked my wife. She's a minister. She could have laid hands on y'all. A grief counselor. God has given her a spirit of comfort. But the Lord gave me a spirit of discomfort. And I came here to talk about the money. There's this great scene in the movie American Gangster. Denzel Washington plays my man Frank Lucas, and they at the funeral of Bumpy Johnson, and he says, there's a whole bunch of folk in this room owe Bumpy that money. I'm going to get that money. And there are a whole bunch of companies in this room, in this city, in this state, in this country that absolutely owe black America more than they have provided back to black America. And I'm here to get that money. Because I'm tired of having a conversation about the wealth gap in America, and yet when I look at the fact that the federal government spends $560 billion a year on contracts, and African Americans get 1.67% of those contracts, that's $9 billion out of $560 billion, and we damn sure pay more in taxes. When the federal government spends $1 billion on advertising and black-owned media gets $51 million out of the $1 billion, that's 1%. When in the business that I am in, the advertising industry, $322 billion is spent every single year, and black-owned media gets 0.5 to 1% of the $322 billion. And when I look at Disney, just the other day announced they closed $9 billion in the media upfront period in May and June. And then there's a second period in September. And black media, we tend to get the money in the scatter market. And the scatter is what's left. And we can take this and go industry by industry by industry and begin to challenge folks, what is your spending? So when I'm talking about this idea of investing back in us, again, I appreciate companies sponsoring the convention, but I've got to ask the broader question, who are your black board members? Who are your black senior executives? Are there any black folks at your company, at any sponsor here, in line to be the CEO one day? What is your black spin on media? Do you hire black PR agencies, event planners, transportation companies, catering companies. Do you hire black companies up and down the line? Because I know you're having events. I know you're having parties. I know you're traveling, folks. Do you use black travel agencies? What I'm trying to get us to understand is we've got to begin to leverage our power and say, if you want to come into our house and speak and talk and put your banners up, we got to make sure you're doing more than buying a damn table. Because when I see companies, when they're spending $3 billion on advertising, and I take Pepsi. Pepsi has an initiative with the National Urban League. I support it. 5 years, $10 million to stand up black restaurants. I support that. Pepsi is trying to drive $100 million in receipts to black businesses over 5 years. No way to actually count it. But I support that. Yet the same company spends $3 billion a year on advertising. If black-owned media got 5% of the $3 billion, that's $150 million a year. So over 5 years, that's $750 million. Now you tell me what has a greater impact on black folks: 5 years, $10 million, $100 million over 5 years, or $750 million. But we damn sure drink Pepsi. So Pepsi, where's the money? And now take that on. The cars we buy. What's our market share of Toyota, General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, Hyundai, Honda, all down the line? And then what's their black spend? See, so many folk want to have this wealth conversation, and folks say, well, the greatest access to wealth in America is through home ownership. True. But what happened in 2014? When a report came out, Wall Street Journal, I was flying to Raleigh for the Radio 1 Women's Conference, and I get to the hotel, front page of the Wall Street Journal, $23.09 billion in small business loans were handed out in 2013. Black folks got $385 million of the $23.09 billion. So you read the story. And what happened was, because of the home foreclosure crisis, 2007, 2008, 2009, where a lot of black folks who actually had good credit were forced into subprime loans. And then, of course, folk were lied to and those homes pushed on those folks. And let me be real clear, if you are a bank sitting in this room and you were involved in that, you ain't wrote a check big enough at any conference to make up for the black wealth that was lost during that crisis. I ain't forgot 53% of all black wealth was wiped out in 2007, 2008, 2009. And it would take 100 years to replace what was lost, which means that we're not gaining what could have been done over the same 100 years. And so I see this story, and I immediately call the Obama White House. And I said, y'all got to get somebody on my Tom Jonah on Monday to discuss this. And so they play games for 90 days. And I gave them hell. And I understand. And I know black folks, we love Obama like we love MLK and Jesus. But too many of y'all was stuck at the inauguration parade just happy to see a first black family when I was there for the check. Say, I don't believe, look, if you want our vote, I need something in return. Everybody else had a list. And so I challenged them, and I told them, I said, I could be talking about sports, I'm going to bring that money up. And they were like, wow. They were like, why are you so hard on? I said, because damn it, I cannot accept $385 million out of $23.09 billion. And why were we only getting $385 million? Because so many of those black business owners lost their homes, no loan, no business. It was a direct relation from home ownership to access to those loans. We can't grow businesses. We can't build capacity. We can't build capacity. We can't hire more people. We can't hire more people. We can't begin to build wealth. there's a direct correlation to where we stand right now in America with our black-owned businesses with black wealth. So the conversation must be broadened beyond home ownership, because the reality is this here: if you cannot grow a business and then you are stuck waiting for a 90 and 120-day term, and you got to float your business all that time, you can't survive waiting on that $1, $2, $3, $4, $500,000 check, because you got to be able to survive. Pre-COVID, we had 2.6 million black-owned businesses in America. 2.5 million with one employee. Those are not businesses. Self-proprietors. Those are lifestyle businesses. They just funded your household. Of the 100,000 black-owned businesses, 95% 5 million revenue or less. When I launched Roland Unfiltered, we launched with 7 employees. The day I launched, we were larger than most black businesses in America. After 2 years, we hit 3 million in revenue. That means that we literally were in the top percentile of all black-owned businesses in the country. That is absolutely insane. Some will say, oh, because you did a great job. No, that's insane that we literally do not have thriving black-owned businesses. I'm sick and tired of having surviving conversations in black America. There must be thriving conversations in black America. And so we have to use our collective power, meaning our organizations, to be able to bring the full weight to the table to then begin to change this economic prism. And we're sitting here, and then we have to be also willing to challenge our own leadership who think small. Now see, right now some folk in the room like, oh hell. Because see, one of our fundamental problems, which has been a result of Jim Crow, because of white supremacy, because of how this nation has been constructed, is that we have always been put in the position that when we walk into the room, we walk in head bowed, hat in hand. Well, you think we can, well, if we can get, we rarely walk in asking for what we need. And instead, we have been conditioned to ask for a small amount so we can make do. See, our story, I guarantee you, every black person in this room got a story about mama or daddy or grand. Man, they made do. We didn't have this, didn't have that. We had one chicken. It was 30 folk in the house. Everybody had a piece of meat in it. How we did clothes. We are amazing at telling stories about how little we had and how we made the most out of the little we had. Damn it, I'm tired of having them conversations. I want to have a conversation and say we had a family get together and we had 10 damn chickens in the kitchen. We had roasted chicken, baked chicken, fried chicken, and some in the gumbo pot. I'm just tired of having the make-do conversations. And then we've got to stop looking at that one brother or sister who knows how to walk in their power, walk in their full prosperity, and think he or she is crazy. I was on the board of the National Association of Black Journalists, and we kicked CNN's ass for no black VPs, EVPs, SVPs, direct reports. We beat the hell out of them. We found a meeting with AT&T. We sitting there, and our leadership was like, well, we go and listen. I said, no, they listen. We don't go in to listen. And we sitting there, and all of a sudden, they throw out 50,000, and the AT&T folks literally like it was dandruff, like 50,000. And I just dropped my head. So I'm pissed when we leave the meeting. I'm hot. So, well, what we asked for? I said $100 million. What? I said you were sitting across the table from a company with a $265 billion market cap What the hell were you thinking asking for $50,000 for? You damn right I was asking for $100 million. But that's literally how our organizations are walking into rooms negotiating. We are negotiating from a position of weakness. We're negotiating against ourselves, and we're saying, well, we can make do with this. No, damn that. I believe in surplus. I believe in profit. I'm not talking no 3%, 5%. Damn that. I'm thinking 30, 40% profit margin. Which means you have to have a value on you and who you are. Oh, I've heard it my whole career. Folks talking about, look, I done heard it all. You cocky, you arrogant, you all that. I said, you don't call that white boy none of that. You call him brilliant, you call him smart, you call him a great negotiator. I said, guess what? My resume can match his resume. My skill set can match his skill set. Damn it, you gonna pay up. My grandmother had a catering business. God rest her soul. And I used to sit there, and I started working when I was 7 years old, and I stopped catering when I was 30. And we would sit there, and she would be booking weddings, and the bride and the bride's mama, and they would come there, and I'd be sitting on the couch either with the groom, the fiance, or the daddy, and we watching TV while they in the dining room booking the wedding. And they'll be sitting there for 3 and 4 and 5 hours going through the whole book, the napkins, candelabras, candles. You're going to have fruit trays. I mean, the whole thing. And they would sit there, and they would this whole we this and this and this, and they get to the bottom. And then my grandmother would tally up, and it'd be like 18,000, 22,000, 30,000. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Lamont, but we only had 7,500. Why your ass didn't walk in here and say you only had $7,500?" I just sat here for 4 hours with you, and now mind y'all, I was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I'm watching this. Now understand. My grandmother was not charging enough for her high quality of service. Well, because she wasn't charging enough, then she was not paying us enough. My dad, my mom did bake cakes, my dad did cooking. It was truly a whole family thing. So my dad was like, damn, I need to get paid more for cooking. So he stopped cooking. So my grandmother thought she could weather that storm. Lasted 2 weeks. She had to pay him more. So I learned at 13, 14 years old, if you charging less than what your worth is, you can't pay your people what they are also owed. So now you're paying them less. And if you're paying your people less, then your people can't take care of their family because they're getting less, but they're kicking out a higher quality product. So black folks, we are excellent at having a larger return on investment, doing way more than others. And people are like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is wonderful. This is awesome. Well, yeah, you got to pay for that. Which means that we have to change our disposition and walk in literally negotiating differently. And so I ain't got no problem telling somebody, no, we're not doing that. And they're like, well, y'all can't live stream this event. We got 8. No, because it's 15. Well, can you do 8? No, we be at the crib. Because I learned then, you going to give me a $20,000 headache and pay me 8. Now I'm cussing myself out because I took 8 and I get a $20,000 headache. If you give me a $20,000 headache and you paying me 20, fine, you paying for the headache. But that literally is a state of mind that we have to be in, which changes how we view ourselves, which means that we have a level of self-worth that will not be defined by somebody else. You ain't trying to sell no house cheaper because you want that higher damn commit. I'm with you. But this literally is a state of mind. It is how we have been conditioned, because in America, black folks have been forced to accept less. And then when you find somebody who is willing to challenge a system, man, you need to calm down, because I hear all the time, man, y'all sitting there, y'all challenge these people, you calling these people out. This is just fact. I need y'all to show me anywhere in American history, anywhere, black people, show me something that black people anywhere in America got something of high value without yelling, screaming, cussing, protesting. Take y'all time. Show me. Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand, never have, never will. That is he then said, agitate, agitate, agitate. That literally is the story of black America in the United States. So if Martin Delany and Frederick Douglass and Denmark Vesey and Ida B. Wells Barnett and A. Philip Randolph and Dr. King and Fannie Lou Hamer, Reverend Jackson, Julian Bond, Dorothy Height, if they had to agitate, they had to fight and call folks out, well, damn it, guess what? We up. It's literally our turn. And I know there's somebody, trust me, I got the sermon. Y'all in the room like, he just went through and called like all of our sponsors, like all of them by name. Yes. Because you've got to demand that every company go back and say, we need a racial index. We need a roll call. What is your spending beyond the conference? How are you investing in our community? Chase announced his $30 billion initiative in the wake of George Floyd. But what's the status of it? City, I see the commercials, not on black-owned media. I see it everywhere else. What's the status of that? PNC Bank, I saw the announcement, $1 billion. 2 years later, what's the status? Who's receiving it? Who's getting it? What's being spent? Corporate America committed upwards of $50 billion in the wake of the death of George Floyd. And I know somebody sitting here, I know what you're saying. You're like, yeah, but, Black Lives Matter got 90 million, and they publicly revealed it. The NAACP got 140. Urban League got upwards of 100 million. But let me be real clear to any company sitting in the room. Your philanthropy is not investment. Let me repeat that. Philanthropy ain't investment. Philanthropy is a write-off. Investment means something goes in and invests. That's what invest is. And see, we as a people have been so mesmerized by philanthropy, when philanthropy is the smallest part of what a company can do. So for me, I look at market cap. I look at what is your black base. Black folks account for Bank of America, Chase, Citi, PNC, Wells Fargo. What's the percentage of black folks who have accounts in your banks? What's the percentage of those same black people who can then get loans for their businesses? See, if we're going to talk about the money, we'll talk about the money. Because see, one of the fundamental problems that we as a community have had is we talk about everything else. And we do, and those things are important. Mass incarceration, critically important. Education, critically important. Fight police brutality, critically important. But do understand, there's only one federal agency that shares a law with the White House. It's not defense. It ain't Health and Human Services. It's not justice. is Treasury. If you want to understand America, it's right there, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. White House, power. Treasury, money. Treasury, money. White House, power. You could go 100 steps out of the side of the Treasury Department and you are in the east wing of the White House. That's not by happenstance. If we are not having a money conversation, we are not having an American conversation. America understands money. White folks in Birmingham Montgomery did not give a damn about black folks complaining until we stopped riding that bus. And with 50,000 black folks didn't get on that bus for one day, and then the organizers said we're going to go for 4 more days, and went 5 days, and then after that they then said we're not going to ride that bus until this changes, and it went 382 days. That thing went all the way to the Supreme Court. Oh, trust me, it broke them economically. When 4 North Carolina A&T students decided to go sit at a lunch counter, and that thing spread like wildfire all across the South, there were folk who said, man, look, we ain't waiting for somebody to come protest, integrate this counter, because it was a money thing. Department stores all across the South began to change because it was about money. They saw what was happening. Dr. King laid out an Operation Breadbasket, an idea given to him by Reverend Leon Sullivan from Philadelphia. That's what created Operation Breadbasket, where they used the power of economic withdrawal. And if you think I'm lying, go back to that speech at Mason Temple, because see, this is what happens, and this is why I keep warning black people when you let somebody else tell your story. Stop having MLK days and you only play the mountaintop part of that speech, because that was a 43-minute and 16-second speech where he laid out an economic platform for black America. Because earlier in that speech, he said, in the speech he said, Jesse, what did you call it? He said, we call it redistribute the pain. 1,100 sanitation workers were protesting. He said we were going to have economic withdrawal. King said we will not do business with people who do not do business with us. In the speech, he said, put money in black banks. The same speech. He name checked. See, some of y'all sitting here saying, well, why'd you have to name check the companies? Because King name checked companies at Mason Temple the night before he was killed. See, we have allowed this country to treat Dr. King like some civil rights mascot, like he's a bobblehead figure, strip him of his radicalness, only mention 2 or 3 sermons or 2 or 3 speeches, and hell, they won't even mention the whole speech. People love the I have a dream part, but you cannot talk about the I have a dream part unless you deal with the economic reciprocity part earlier in the speech. When he said we came here to cash a check, insufficient funds, he began to talk about the bank of injustice. That was an economic speech. The last 5 years of his life was about economics. He talked about the book by Theobald, The Guaranteed Income. He was talking about money because he understood you cannot deal with America solely when it comes to civil rights. You've got to deal with silver rights. America don't deal with nothing unless money is at the heart of the conversation. So leaving here, what must begin to happen? Leaving here, every single person has to completely change our view of how we move forward when we're having these discussions. On the micro level, we've got to be willing to have the hard conversations with family members about how we spend. Spike Lee interviewed me for the Colin Kaepernick documentary, and I came and I had some Adidas on. Spike said, "You ain't got no Air Jordans on?" I said, "Hell no, these were given to me." Says Spike, "You ain't gonna never see my black ass pay $200 for a pair of tennis shoes." But I'll buy some damn Nike stock. Now let me unpack that. We have been conditioned, what I said earlier, self-worth. Our self-worth has been defined by the kicks we have on. We have literally raised multiple generations of black kids on the basis of, you got them cheap shoes on, you don't have any Jordans on. Without realizing the person who we have made successful with Nike is Phil Knight. That is a state of mind. I remember, y'all remember we had designer jeans, Jordache, and polos or all the things. Like, I never understood. I still don't get it. I remember that dude in middle school, they bought shirts from Kmart, and they sewed the Izod alligator on. Because it was crooked. And I was like, why your gator crooked? Oh man, why you gotta call me out? I said, bruh, it's a shirt. That gator don't do a damn thing. What? Like, I never understood the damn polo. Like, we don't even play polo. Show of hands. How many people in this room been to a polo match? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6. It's 6 bougie-ass black people in this room. It's 6 Martha Vineyards Negroes in this room right now. Out of all of it's white folks in this room didn't raise their hand. They're like, hey, I ain't never been on damn polo match. The white woman right here in front of you, they're like, I ain't never been no polo match. I ain't never been no cricket match. No, what? But we craved it, and I saw black families just killing themselves to buy Izods and polos. And so I met my brother and I, our birthdays are 1 day apart. We're one year, 1 day apart. And so my parents came home, and it was a pair of Jordache jeans, 2 polos, and it was a cognac belt. And I remember they brought it, and we were in the living room and watching TV, and they gave us gifts for our birthday. And I opened up, and I was like, cool. By 10 minutes later, I went to the room and said, look, I appreciate this. I said, I appreciate the 2 polos and the Jordache jeans. But y'all can go get me 3 Levi's and 5 shirts for them Jordache and 2 polos. Now, this wasn't hard. I could only wear the jeans 1 damn time, the shirt twice. But you get me 5 shirts and 3 jeans, now I can go 3 and 5. My TV One staff, I remember I went to, the Texans played the Baltimore Ravens, and I had my Skechers on, and I left my white tennis shoes, and I had a field pass, and I was like, damn, I don't have white tennis shoes. So it was like 10:30 in the morning. I was like, man, was open at 10:30 in the morning on a Sunday? Boom, Walmart. So there you go. And we still waiting on Walmart to advertise on Black Star Network too. So I go there. Look, my goal was to get a white pair of shoes. That was the criteria. I got them. So we at the office, and one of my staff was like, "Oh my God!" She's like, "What are these shoes you have on?" I said, "Paid for." They're white tennis shoes. She was like, "These are just horrible." I said, "Hold up. Ain't you the same person who had a whole Nike collection of tennis shoes, but then you got sick when somebody broke into your apartment and stole your whole Nike shoe collection?" I said, "But if your ass had Nike stock," I said, "guess what? It could have got stolen, but they couldn't do anything with it." I said, "and you still making money." Now, I get the whole people talk about antique, you can resell. Okay, I get all that. But the point I'm making is, for the average African American, the average person, we are simply driving consumerism as opposed to building and investing. My parents, those same parents who I went to, 75 this year, are sitting in my house in Dallas, Texas right now, that's paid for. The same house that I almost lost to foreclosure in 2004 after my appendix rupture at the Democratic National Convention in 2000. They sent me a foreclosure notice. And see, again, this is one of those things that, and trust me, I know some people here like, "Oh, you nuts?" No, because here's what happened. how we have been raised. Oh, don't you file for bankruptcy? Your credit's gonna get destroyed. It already is destroyed. The lawyer told me, she said, the moment you file, they can't call you, they can't email you. I was like, shh, file, baby, file. Follow me here. White America has used the bankruptcy laws in this country as a financial instrument. We have been trained by our folk to avoid that. Oh my God, that's gonna make you look bad. What if folk know? I said on CNN, TV1, I filed bankruptcy. I don't give a damn what nobody thinks, because I followed that up with, guess what? Paid it all off. Guess what? Owned the house. Mom and daddy lives there. My sister and her niece live there. So 3 generations of family live there, rent free. The home has gone up tremendously in value. Also now debt free. I don't owe nobody nothing anywhere. The point I am making is we have to change the conversations that we are having with our families and our friends, because we literally are walking around broke, looking good, looking clean, looking fly, have a finely washed car, but the car is actually more than our mortgage because we actually are renting. At some point, if we're going to have a wealth conversation, it cannot be solely about buying a home. It has to be about changing this, changing the mind, our perception, which is why media matters, because when we're driving a message on a daily basis, on television, on radio, on social, then we are teaching and we are reaching and we're helping people and we're changing how they think. I love the fact when I hear people come to me and say, Roland, I used to say the N-word, but because you have taught me don't use the language of the oppressor against your own people, I no longer use it, and so now my kids don't use it. When somebody calls me and says, I am now running for political office because I have been watching you for years talk about the importance of local politics, that I understand what is happening. When somebody comes to me and they say, I began to invest in this aerial mutual fund because you were talking about it, and now I've saved $20,000 over 2 years, and all I was doing was putting aside $50 a month. That's what it means when you have the medium. Understand, media is the most powerful medium, and so if we are going to change the future of Black America, we must have a complete reprogramming of Black America, which means, first of all, we do not consider anything that we do as less than. We don't look at a black real estate company as secondary to a white real estate company. We don't use the same phrases. We don't allow anybody to talk about our businesses in a negative way. No, what this requires is for this generation of Black America is to redefine our future. And if we redefine it economically, we need to redefine it intellectually. And then when we are willing to demand what is our fair share and we increase our self-worth, we are not going to have to wait for that ship to come in down the line. We're not going to have to wait for somehow when we go up yonder and get to heaven. The reality is, I want to enjoy heaven on earth, and the only way that happens, and if you deal with the money, and if you confront the money, and you confront America, then they are going to have to change. And so you must have a fighting spirit. You must have a spirit of agitation, of innovation, and look somebody in the eye and say to what my frat brother Vertner Woodson Tandy said to America, to the banks, to the financial institutions in this country, we will fight until hell freezes over, and then we will fight on the ice.
Class is not enough to talk talk about some of the achievements that our brother Roland Martin has done, just the inspiration that he has brought across this crowd, this room of black folks. I want to thank you, Roland Martin, on behalf of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, just not for the word, but the encouragement, the inspiration of all generations and ages that are in this room today. If you can walk away with one piece of information, you have walked away with power. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to get a photo right over here. Where's right here? Cool. All right. You coming up? Oh, okay.
Love you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Presentation. Bear with us just for a few more minutes.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Oh, they got you another one?
Huh? Yes. Okay. That's why we stream it. Huh? So we got it. Okay, y'all, I'm stopping the stream now. I'll see y'all later.